law is here to help us to make sure that the medication stays in the right hands.
A stricter approach to opioid prescriptions looks to cut down on addictions in the state of Tennessee. So far this month, at least 3 people have died from suspected drug overdoses. The Knox County District Attorney General's office says that brings this year's total to 157 deaths in that county alone. Last year, you can see, almost 300.
Well, Tennesseans who are prescribed opioids to manage pain are now receiving smaller prescriptions. 10 News reporter Shannon Smith explains how this change is designed to help combat the opioid epidemic here in East Tennessee.
It's rare that someone will receive this many pills in an opioid prescription anymore.
For patients that are getting new prescriptions, usually for the first time, or if they don't get them very often due to an injury or a surgery, then the law does limit how long their prescription can last.
Pharmacist Samantha Bolden says that limit is 3 days worth of medication. It's part of a statewide push to limit the number of pills given out to patients so the unused tablets don't end up in the wrong hands.
There's only so much that can be taken legitimately before people start to have issues, so we're trying to make sure that there's less and less available outside of people who really need it.
There are now 4 different pill amounts people can be prescribed. People who need opioids to manage pain after minor surgeries or injuries, like getting your wisdom teeth removed, will be issued a 3-day supply and can go back for another prescription if needed. With more severe procedures or events like broken bones, people can get a 10 or 20-day prescription as long as thorough documentation is provided by their doctor. For serious conditions like sickle cell disease or needing constant medication for different reasons, a pharmacist can give up to a 30-day supply. That's if every other pain-relieving option is ruled out.
It's not going to take anything away from people who really need pain medication, for injuries or for cancer or, various other things. We're not taking medications away from those people who legitimately need it.
But by eliminating extra pills, the hope is to stop any more addictions from starting. Shannon Smith, WBIR 10 News.
And since the law took effect at the start of the month, that pharmacy hasn't taken any complaints. Another encouraging sign, they're seeing more people bringing in unused pills to dispose of safely.
Another prescription drug is now considered a controlled substance. Gabapentin is used as a mood stabilizer that also helps control seizures and diabetes. It's often prescribed with opioids, but that combination of drugs is now being abused.
We want to make sure that people aren't taking too much because we do have the risk of overdose, the risk of it causing seizures, taking too much, and it can cause people to kind of just feel like they're in a fog, so it's not safe for people to be driving while they're taking these medications.
Gabapentin is on the lowest level of addiction as far as controlled substances are ranked, but combined with opioids, that addiction gets much stronger.
Online at WBIR.com, you can find help if you or someone you know is struggling with addiction. Just go to the menu at the top of the screen and you can see. Click on the Features tab, then scroll down and choose od-epidemic. That will take you to this page with all of our stories on drug addiction, including a list of resources and ways to help. Again, that's on the od-epidemic page at WBIR.com.
And if you have prescriptions that you no longer are taking, you can get rid of them at our Drug Take Back. It's set for July 20th. We are partnering with the Metro Drug Coalition to safely dispose of any unused drugs. You'll be able to drop them off in our lower parking lot here at Channel 10 from noon until 6.